Good evening. My name is Pastor Scott Anque, and I'm the Policy Director of Faith in Place. As we gather tonight in this digital space, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of native lands where we live and work, the ancestors and elders past and present, as well as future generations. Please see the native land link put in the chat box to the right. There you will discover that the places where we work and worship were the traditional territories of several native nations prior to their forced removal. These lands continue to carry the stories of these native nations and their struggles for survival and identity. This acknowledgement for Faith in Place demonstrates a commitment to continuing the process to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. We acknowledge these native nations still present among us and intend to work with them as we move forward. Our aim is to become a vibrant, inclusive community with environmental justice at the core of our efforts.
My name is Princess Harris, and I serve as a Sustainable Food and Land Use Coordinator for Faith in Place. Racism and injustice are evident in every aspect of American life. And tonight, we acknowledge the ways these show up in our nation's food systems. We acknowledge that our current food system is built on exploitative practices, including forced debt, seized land, terror, and intimidation. As a result, Black farmers have lost 12 million acres of farmland in the U.S. since the 1950s. As a Sustainable Food and Land Use Coordinator of Faith in Place, I will work with our organization and each of you towards a shared commitment for justice and a restored and repaired relationship with each other in our common home.
Hello, I'm Samantha Miller, Faith in Place's Energy and Climate Change Support. I'm also the Green Team Coach for the historic Stone Temple Baptist Church. Stone Temple sought to create an urban garden as a safe haven of peace for the community with fresh produce. Faith in Place connected Stone Temple with Chicago Sinai Congregation, two very different green teams from opposite sides of Chicago. These two teams garden together, but also share their faith, heritage, and cultures as well. The Peace Garden lit the way for more positive changes, including a performance stage and a future meditation garden and social enterprise to employ young people. Pastor Rashona Fitzpatrick often says, all things work together when you have faith in place. Let's hear more from Pastor Rashona and Susan Stone now.
What the Stone Temple Green Team with the Chicago Sinai Green Team have been able to accomplish since the beginning is just been some amazing things in the North Lawndale community.
Our congregation, in partnership with Stone Temple Church, has accomplished a number of things during the past almost 2 years.
The first thing we were able to accomplish was through our meetings with both of the groups from Stone Temple and from Chicago Sinai was just developing a relationship, first of all, and then the empowerment that we were able to bring forth just out of the meetings that we had.
Underlying each of the specific successful projects has been a wish and a commitment to develop relationships of collaboration and trust where we could learn from one another.
So from there, we decided that we were going to go out on the lot and see how we were going to put our heads together, our ideas together, our plan together, and create a beautiful garden. That garden, where it is now, started out as just a vacant lot, and it was a thoroughfare for all types of negative activity. And just a lot of rubbish was there. So we came together and decided that we were going to do something phenomenal, and we have done that. The community is safer. There is a lot of fun that takes place on that garden, in that garden space. There's been a baby shower there. There's been a birthday parties. We had a ribbon cutting ceremony. So there's lots of celebratory things that are happening in that vacant lot that is now a beautiful garden. And it's just because Stone Temple and Chicago Sinai, thanks to the help of Faith in Place, develop a partnership that is spilling over into the community, that's bringing love and peace and unity. And I'm so happy to be a part of this organization.
What we're looking forward to is when we can be together again and to use the beautiful new stage that Pastor Rashona also got built, to have presentations to tell each of our faith communities' history and heritage, and to forge relationships and bring our faith communities closer together.
So I'm so excited about this stage because it will allow us to tell our stories, to give our narratives. Oftentimes, our stories and our narratives are given by people who are not even from our communities and who really don't know our truths. So the Chicago Sinai family, the North Lawndale family, the Stone Temple family will be able to go on stage, tell our own stories, give our own narratives from a historical standpoint of what we know and what we've experienced. So I am super excited about what people will be able to hear that we have to say because we've lived it. I swear by Faith in Place because you guys, or now we, just do some awesome and amazing work. And when we come together, it's just things happen, beautiful things happen. I never did a garden before. And when I look at it, I'm amazed at what's out there. I really am. And it's because Faith in Place said you can do it. And I believed it and we did it.
In Judaism, we have a tradition that we call Tikkun Olam, which means the repair of the world. It energizes our commitment to lighting the way through work for social justice. In Stone Temple Church, we have found a partner who is also deeply committed to making its community healthier, safer, and more connected. When we can be together again in person, our handsome new stage will allow us to tell all of our stories and light the way through establishing more loving connections.
The historical Stone Temple Church lights the way by bringing unity into the community.
That is a truly inspiring story from Chicago. Hello, my name is Christina Krost, and I'm the Southern Illinois Outreach Coordinator at Faith in Place. I'm honored to introduce you to our next storyteller, Pastor Karen Canote and First Christian Church of Carbondale. As a Faith in Place partner, First Christian Church lights the way as an environmental champion, bringing solar energy, education, and connection throughout Southern Illinois. Transitioning to solar energy is one important way to support clean and renewable energy, making our communities healthier, more resilient, and more just. Let's listen to how First Christian Church of Carbondale became a solar hub in Southern Illinois and supports access to solar energy for everyone in their community.
At First Christian Carbondale on the Green Team, we've worked at trying to save energy and use clean energy first with replacing traditional lighting, whether it was incandescent or fluorescent, with LED. And the biggest thing we've done is installing 84 solar panels on our roof. We've gone from, I think, an annual electric bill of about $1,900. Last year's electric bill was $29. The education building on which our solar is installed is 3 stories high, and so you can't see it from the street. But then we finally found a long, thin banner that points up and says, "Solar panels helping care for God's earth." And we're on a fairly busy street, and so we wanted people to know that there was solar up there. Because of our central location, it became natural for our building to be a place where solar meetings happened and people came. Carbondale has a very active interfaith council, and so we talked with not only the Christian churches, but the Islamic mosque and the Jewish synagogue about what solar was doing for us and how we saw that as caring for the environment. I, as pastor, do as much as I can to talk about it in theological and stewardship terms and say, the Green Team, First Christian Carbondale, we are doing this because the earth is God's body and we have all but destroyed it, and we need to do our part in switching from fossil fuels to renewables, and this is what First Christian can do and what we can do in our homes. We talk to other faith communities, to businesses, to schools, and tried to get the word out about what First Christian Church of Carbondale was doing to light the way, and also the role that Faith in Place played in that and how Faith in Place could help them. First Christian is now involved with a Solar for All farm that is in Urbana and needs Ameren subscribers. And so we're excited to try and be providing subscribers. That Solar for All project would make clean energy a possibility for people who rent or people who can't put solar on their own home for whatever reason. Faith in Place was an invaluable piece of cheerleading and education in our own process as a church in solar and the steps of that process and how that works. We so appreciate what Faith in Place does. At First Christian Church Carbondale, we light the way by preaching the gospel of solar energy for all.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathy Collin. I'm a Lake County Eco-Ambassador with Faith in Place from Waukegan, Illinois. This summer, I was awarded a scholarship from the Waukegan Park District to participate in the Eco-Ambassadors program. During one of our Eco-Ambassador sessions, we had the pleasure of hosting Illinois state legislators to hear about their efforts in making our community more environmentally just. My peers and I offered fun, interactive activities over Zoom, specifically a mini quiz of Lake County's current environmental standing. We shared highlights of our program and asked questions about what is being done for our community.
My name is State Representative Mary Edley Allen. I'm from the 51st District. It represents 17 communities, the largest of which are Lake Zurich and Libertyville. I am a member of First Presbyterian Church. These youth that were part of this Eco-Ambassador group were just so knowledgeable and inspiring, I should say, to someone like me that's in the trenches. It will be the beginning of a lifelong journey for these youth to follow a path of social justice. And that encompasses so many areas, not just our environment, as I said earlier, but with education and incarceration and jobs and opportunity. They are all interrelated. So my hope is that this is just the beginning of their journey in making this entire world a better place to live.
The Lake County Eco-Ambassadors program was very eye-opening. Not only did I enjoy learning about the environmental issues in my community, but I was learning how I could make a change and become more aware of the policies in place to push forth an environmentally just world. To this day, I share my knowledge with others and want to continue learning. Due to the Eco-Ambassadors program, I was prompted to take a healthcare studies course at my university and realized this is one of the many passions that I would like to pursue in the future. The Eco-Ambassador program has had a positive impact on my life, and I want to continue working with them in the future.
So this program of the Eco-Ambassadors it was inspiring to hear them talk about really meaty issues, and that they have this experience with legislators like myself and how they can make direct change on laws. And my hope is that they take this experience very early on. I wish I would have had the same experience in a direct contact with a legislator to know that this is where the change is made. I truly believe it's the youth and their involvement that will make things better for all of us.
I think it's important for the youth to communicate with their legislators to learn how to advocate for themselves and for their community for a more environmentally just world in the future.
I think one of the areas as an educator that was really important to me, and I think that the youth also grasped this, is that we are all interconnected and every issue is related to each other, from the environment to incarceration to jobs to everything. The program itself really inspired me because it gives me hope that the future is bright. I light the way by empowering others like these eco-ambassadors to shine by creating lasting change through the legislative process.
I'm Kathy Collin, and I light the way by addressing disparities through education and advocacy in my community.
This year, as we come together, we are lifting up the theme of a just recovery. We know as people of faith and conscience that we are facing three major crises: climate change, the pandemic and COVID-19, and racism. And we at Faith in Place believe that these three issues are all deeply interconnected, and that we as people of faith and conscience have a responsibility to connect the dots between these three issues as we seek to take measurable action in our neighborhoods and our communities.
There are so many parallels that we see with the current pandemic and the climate crisis.
COVID-19, the biological disease and pandemic we're dealing with, has really helped us see with more clarity COVID-19, the spiritual disease that is affecting so many people of color.
It's been 40 years since the start of the first enslaved Africans arriving after making the transatlantic journey. We were taken from our generational wealth to become someone else's generational wealth. And it really is part of this kind of extraction, exploitation, domination culture that has led us to where we are as a society as it relates to catastrophic climate change, whether we're dominating, exploiting, extracting humans or our natural resources. It's the same practices of wealth building at the expense of well-being of the earth and well-being of human beings.
The disparities are really intertwined with the pandemic, which is a respiratory virus linked to the climate crisis.
When I hear the word, I can't breathe, I hear the planet saying, I can't breathe. And if the planet can't breathe, we can't breathe. But the first people who have asphyxiation are people of color.
Most of the communities that are impacted by this are the communities that do not have the resources or the resilience to bounce back.
And across the country, we see so many communities that are rising up to the change that we must see in the world in order for there to be liberation, not only for us, but in our communities, but in the vein of none of us are free when one of us is oppressed. These changes are necessary for our collective liberation.
What an impactful summit. If you'd like to hear more, all the summit recordings are available for free through the link that's in your chat box now. Now I'm excited to introduce the Reverend Michael Crosby from the First Mennonite Church of Champaign-Urbana. Faith in Place helped First Mennonite utilize the Green Team Summit's lessons on environmental justice and racial equity to host an open interfaith discussion with other houses of worship. The congregations are using these powerful conversations to re-envision how they will jointly take action on environmental justice. Here's First Mennonite's story, along with a few more highlights from the Green Team Summit.
My name is Michael Crosby. I'm a pastor at First Mennonite Church of Champaign-Urbana in Urbana, Illinois. At First Mennonite Church, we were thinking about ways that we could introduce some of the concepts of environmental justice to the whole congregation. And so we perked up at the subject of the Green Team Summit for this year and started to brainstorm how we could make this something that the whole congregation could participate. In our faith community, we have a lot of folks committed to the work of racial justice, and I know a lot of folks who are committed to environmentalism. And I also know a few folks who are trying hard, like Faith in Place, to put that work together.
When we come to the U.S., we understand that climate change is intertwined with racial justice and our proclivity to marginalize people of color. And until we can merge these two movements together, the environmental movement will always be marginalized as people just trying to save the whales and not necessarily trying to save all of humanity and all of creation.
Our congregation, with a robust green team, prompted us to think about how we could bring these two things together.
The only way that we really are going to move forward is through collaborations. We don't have all the answers. We need any community as much as they need us in order to move forward.
In the network of congregations that we call the Fifth Sunday Coalition, we reached out and invited others to participate with us as a group of congregations, gain a greater sense of how these injustices tied to our treatment of the earth and our treatment of one another.
And that's what we need to deal with when we start talking about just recovery. Who are the people who are being choked by destructive policies? How do we ensure that the disinherited, the disenfranchised, the disempowered are able to breathe? How do we ensure that our planet is able to thrive in the process?
So we actually worked closely with Reverend Cindy Shepard of Faith in Place to explore this in our own community in Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, and perhaps to find some way to address instances of environmental racism.
Every church has a responsibility of rebuilding the community holistically.
At our church, First Mennonite Church, we brought that into a series of small group conversation rooms. We hosted about, I think, 8 or 9 small conversation groups throughout the week following the Green Team Summit.
Normally, when we come into a community, we start with listening to each other. We bring the community to try to get to know each other first.
And then we brought them together to another Faith in Place event where our folks from our faith community, First Mennonite Church, and from the other Fifth Sunday congregations in this network of partnerships we have in Champaign-Urbana also attended. And we brought a number of the questions and ideas that had surfaced for us during the Green Team Summit. And there was so much synergy here around our trying to build on these relationships that we've been developing and strengthening and working on. And so we sort of collected ideas again in that virtual space. And we really come up with, I think, an exciting path forward. And so we've made a commitment together as congregations, as faith communities, to encourage young people, youth from each of our congregations to join into the Eco Ambassador Program for Faith in Place, and then to really empower them to come back to their congregations, their faith communities, and all of us as a Fifth Sunday Network come together and learn from them about the work that they've done. So I'm really excited about the possibilities that this holds.
Youth have such a pivotal and critical place in this fight. We are seeing youth demanding swift, bold action from elected officials. We adults have been failing them, but when we put youth in front of elected officials, it's the kind of energy, the kind of passion, and the kind of humanity and that we need for politicians to listen.
At First Mennonite Church, we light the way by igniting relationships in our community and following young people as they lead us into a just future.
Good evening. I'm Veronica Kyle. I'm the statewide outreach director for Faith in Place. For over 10 years, our Eco Ambassadors Youth Program has been lighting the way, educating youth and inspiring young people on environmental justice and stewardship. Our Eco Ambassadors have gone on to study and receive degrees in environmental studies. They've gotten internships, jobs, as well as done projects in their community, both in their faith and residential communities. Our program, which originally started and focused primarily on Black and Latinx students, has grown across the state, and we now engage students from diverse backgrounds. Faith in Place is brighter, stronger, and more energized because of our young Eco Ambassadors. We benefit from their fresh perspective, their creativity, how they communicate around environmental stewardship and issues through dance, spoken word, rap, books, and more. I've always envisioned a youth program where we could be more impactful in inspiring young people to use their intellectual capital and their talents and their own creativity to think about ways to care for the earth. I am excited beyond words to say that this has come true. Let's hear this exciting announcement from our ECHO ambassadors.
Hey guys, Faith in Place has a big surprise. Are you ready for the news?
As we know, Faith in Place runs the Eco Ambassador Youth Program every summer. This program offers teens, like me, an opportunity to fight for environmental justice.
Thanks to everyone's contributions, we are able to do this program. This year, it's going to be different, and here's why.
This year, our youth program will no longer be limited to the summer, but will take place through the entire year. Are you ready to meet our youth program coordinator? DJ, can I get a drum roll, please?
Thank you for the intro. You got me fired up and excited. I am proud to announce that not only am I your DJ Antonio Caesar, but I am Faith in Place's new youth program coordinator. I am so excited to take this program year-round and use my experience in program design and environmental justice to make it happen. Youth are leading this movement and they need our support. So I am going to give it up back to Veronica Kyle for more details. Thank you.
We express our deep appreciation to the Walder Foundation for making this expansion possible. Without you, we would not be able to do this. And we could ask for no finer youth coordinator than Caesar. Armed with a Northwestern degree, Caesar has led our ECHO Ambassadors program for the past 2 summers and was instrumental in our virtual program as well. In his spare time, Caesar also recently completed a Fulbright scholarship in West Africa, Ghana. Wow. Now, does everyone have their candle ready? Because we're almost at that part of the night. But before we do, I'd like to introduce Dr. Jalise Rockman. Jalise is one of Faith in Place's most generous donors, sharing his time, his talents, and treasures as one of our board members. He is a cardiologist and cell biologist at the University of Illinois. Please welcome Jalise.
Good evening. I would like to thank you for joining us this year at our annual Faith in Place celebration. The maxim of today's event is light the way, and I cannot think of a time in recent years when there was more need for lighting the way. The past months have been a period of darkness for many of us. The ongoing pandemic has led to a sense of general anxiety and loneliness. But in this period of darkness, we've also seen amazing feats of resilience, courage, caring, and compassion. These are the signs of light that provide us with the faith and hope that will allow us to meet the challenges we face. In the Muslim tradition, one of the most widely cited Quranic verses is the verse of the light, which describes God as the light of the heavens and the earth. God is like the light emanating from a lamp in a dark niche, a light that is as bright as a star, a light that belongs neither to the east nor to the west. God's light is universal. Through our knowledge and actions, we can use the light to find our way. During this past year, many of you have found strength and skills that were slumbering within you in order to help others. It is in this context that I want to highlight our Faith in Place community. Faith in Place is not an organization. Instead, it is a community and a family of dedicated individuals whose mission in life is to care for others, all living beings in this world. Those of you who have attended similar events in the past know about Faith in Place's tremendous successes to promote stewardship of nature through programs focusing on energy conservation, mitigating climate change, sustainable food and land use, preserving water, reducing flooding, improving environmental and social justice. This year, Faith in Place's work was even more heroic. Faith in Place rapidly adjusted to the challenges of this pandemic using online platforms to complete their mission. Staff members and volunteers at Faith in Place went even further and created new programs that were especially geared towards lighting the way in a period of darkness. One such example is the expansion of the summer youth program to an all-year youth program. Our youth can now join wonderfully structured online programs with personalized interactions where they acquire leadership and presentation skills. Such programs are sorely needed by our youth who are especially struggling with the abyss of disorientation and anxiety when so many other school and community-based youth activities have to be curtailed because of safety concerns. This is what we mean by lighting the way, serving as a beacon of hope, strength, and knowledge for all. In order for Faith in Place to continue this tremendous work, it needs your help more than ever before. Financially supporting Faith in Place to whatever extent you can during these times is one of the most noble investments that you can make, because the dividends of this investment will be a cleaner and healthier environment, greater social and environmental justice, and a better future. Now, I'd like to ask you to visit the link in the chat to a page that outlines the various ways to support Faith in Place. Because of my passion for Faith in Place, I have joined the Founders Circle of Faith in Place. I ask you to consider joining me in this group of supporters. The Founders Circle pledge levels are meant to remind you of what your contributions can do. Your contribution will go towards the unrestricted operating funds of Faith in Place, which allow us to be as flexible as necessary and adapt to the needs of our community, especially during such challenging times. The first giving level, Healthy Soil, is a pledge of $1,000 each year for 5 years, approximately $83 a month. Your gift would let us provide staff support for working with partner community-supported farms across the state of Illinois that provide healthy and sustainable foods, like Mother Carr's Farm in the south suburbs. These CSA farms have been lighting the way with the help of Faith in Place by providing healthy local food in the midst of the food crisis of the pandemic. The next giving level, our fresh water level, is a pledge of $5,000 for 5 years. A gift like that would allow us to reach and support more youth in our Eco Ambassador Youth Program, which you've heard so much about. The last level, Clean Air, is a pledge of $10,000 a year for 5 years. With that, Faith in Place will provide ongoing coaching for green teams, introduce more families to nature preserves, and train hundreds of faithful citizens to support environmentally responsible policies across the state. If you're joining me today as a member of the Founders Circle, my personal thanks for your generous support, and we ask that you make the first payment of your pledge today. We know and respect that you might prefer to give at a different level. You can do that at the link provided. We truly appreciate whatever level of support you can provide. Any and every donation matters. As you're filling out the donation link, please know that whatever you gave, including the gift of your time to be with us this evening, we sincerely appreciate your support for the communities of faith that we serve. At this time, I'll now turn over the program to Faith in Place's Development Officer, Valerie Skarbek, for further information.